Yay, check it out. Kind of nice and even. Already got a little bit of check cracking going on. That's my phone ringing in the background. So, we'll let this go and it won't be long. So far, so good. Went ahead and let it dry a little bit. Went in and filled in all the little cracks. And as a matter of fact, there's one I missed. Most useful tool in the shed, the old finger trowel, right? Oh yeah, it's got Portland cement, so you're not supposed to, get it on your skin or anything like that, because, you might, die. Anyway, that's not true, obviously. Now, the first layer that I put on, I put the heat on it, I force dried it, it cracked, like I knew it would. This next layer, I'm going to let it dry a little more naturally. I'm just going to actually let it set today. So it cracks a little bit less, actually. And after it sets this time, we'll give it a dry, we'll throw one more skim coat on it. And since this is a Friday, quite likely, we will fire this thing up this weekend. Which brings me to my next little thing, is to work on the fuel delivery. When I get that all set up, we'll be back. How cool is this? Just came out here, cleaned it up a little bit. Everything's looking good. Got a few little flash cracks, nothing major. Everything else looking pretty solid. And one thing I was doing, I thought, well, hell, I should probably show this to you. Filling in some of the little flash cracks like this one right here. And the way you do that is to basically just take some of this stuff is mostly material. It's mostly clay and sand. Very little in the way of binder. I mean, it sets up, right? Sets up hard. I don't know if you saw that or not. Let me try to get my camera. Sets up nice and hard. That's been, what, 5 hours? But if you need to come back and fill in little cracks, you just kind of take a chunk that you got out of your bucket, right? And through the magic of whatever, so I can do this, I'm basically just using a spray bottle, right? Just take that chunk and work it a little bit. You're working moisture back into it, right? And, since I'm doing this all, I need a third hand. Anybody want to volunteer? Oh, it's too late, you say? Okay, well, that's fine. Be that way. So yeah, you get it smushed up, get some moisture back in it, nice and pliable basically, right? And the reason I'm doing this is at higher temperatures, all the little cracks, now they'll probably open up again, but the cracks will, if you've ever built a forge or run a forge before, if you've got cracks in the thing, it kind of allows extra heat into the cracks and causes your refractory to decay a little faster. Generally what I'll do, like on my regular furnace for metal melting and whatnot, is I'll go in, I don't know, once every few months and just take a layer of refractory and sort of schmutz over the layer that's already there. See, that piece right there I'm not going to worry about too much. It's on the edge and it's actually very, very close to the ceramic that's underneath. So I'll just find a little spot here. Not critical. It'll function perfectly well without all the extra little hoopla there. But anyway, after that dries up, sets up a little bit, what I'll do tonight is put the dryer on it. Still got the hair dryer hooked up from yesterday. We'll put the dryer on it and let it just sort of run and heat and airflow and let it dry it out completely. And I suspect if I can get this fuel system done, we'll have this thing fired up this weekend. Stay tuned. Alright then, me lovelies, this is ready for some fire. Yay, all dried out, nice and solid, looking good. And check this out. Ta-da! Finally got the pieces together for our little fuel system. Believe me, the little ball valve is all you need to regulate it. That is actually an air fitting coupled with some, copper tube. I've got a 1/4 inch copper tube, copper line, going inside a 3/8, which then goes into little brass fitting. One thing to note, see if I can show you here. You see how this line slips nicely into the brass fitting. Okay. I'm keeping my other finger out of the shot because I got a boo-boo. So the regular end on this, right, will not fit the copper line. So what do you have to do? Drill it out, right? Because I'm basically going to solder all the joints together anyway. I have one compression fitting on this right there. Other than that, everything will get soldered. So essentially, when you drill it out, come to find out, a regular 3/8 drill bit, and yes, I'm going to show you the one that I broke because I was an idiot. The regular 3/8 bit will not be wide enough for that copper line to slide into the hole. However, a masonry bit is about 20 thousandths wider. And take it slow, use your cutting fluid, even though you're going, steel and brass, etc., etc. Use a little cutting fluid, just because. And it goes from this, hopefully you can see that, to this, which is just wide enough. Yeah, I'll be able to do that one-handed, right? Let's give here a test of my manual dexterity, or lack thereof. There you go, slips in there just nicely. So next thing we do is get all these joints soldered up, in place, installed, and I'll probably show you that just before we fire this puppy up. And yes, I'll put the handle back on the top because I know you were about to ask. In the spirit of never be afraid to fall back and regroup, I thought I was going to be able to put L Forge next to L Furnace on the same cart. But are we seeing a problem here? The pipe comes with, there's not enough room. It would literally like extend 3 feet past the cart. So, the magic of editing in the last few days, in my spare time, like there is such a thing, took this little guy here, which is just literally, it was lying around gathering rust and dust. The axle here, you can see the 4 little holes across it. It basically was low to the ground. That was flipped the other way with bigger tires, and didn't like that because it was 2 inches off the ground. So I moved it over, flipped it over, put it on the bottom, made an axle for it, put some other tires on it, put a couple little feet on the back side, got it off the ground, got it level, blah blah blah. And the furnace will get moved over to here. So, and I'm going to leave this little cart, kind of maybe help it out a little bit as far as supporting the forge, because it keeps the forge a little bit higher up. You follow. Anyway, that's what's been going on since the last little clip. So for you, 2 seconds has actually been about 4 days. Next thing you'll see, this guy up and running and fire. I did finish the fuel delivery system, so that was cool. Given my lack of true soldering ability, I basically soldered it all together and then reinforced it with some copper RTV silicone just to give it a little extra layer. Next shot you see, hopefully, will be this thing belching flame. Contact. How you like that? Now, thing with the waste oil, see it smoking a little bit. It'll smoke until it gets up to temperature, and then it'll calm right down. Little fuel adjustment right there. Little fuel delivery, just a copper pipe. Yeah, I reinforced it with silicone because my soldering skills are not the top. So, air supply, yeah, I know, redneck, right? Just a 2-inch PVC goes into the filler tube. There's our fuel tank right here. 5-gallon bucket with a copper pipe and a hole. Now there's JB Weld under here on both sides, holding it securely. So just that's all you need. Yeah, already heating up. Now if it doesn't blow up and throw shrapnel out of there anywhere, we'll be golden. I'll come back next time. And here, check this out. Oh, how pretty, huh? So I'll come back in a little bit when we get her up to temperature and throw the pyrometer on it, see what kind of heat we're getting. I can already tell the fuel is on very little, and it's already running like that. So I can tell you already we're gonna get to forging temperature with no problem. All right, it's been about 20 minutes. We're still burning coating and stuff off, so it's to be expected. Let's see if I can catch this right here. If I can get the damn thing to focus. And she tends to breathe on you like a dragon if you get too close. Jeez. Alright, so far 1625. It was reading 1800 a minute ago, so not too bad. We're almost there. I can tell you that the little piece of metal that's, because you know I couldn't resist, the little piece of metal that's in there down towards the end where it's in the hot flame is turning, I got a little orange to it. Not quite up to temperature for doing anything with it yet, but hey, it's been like 15 minutes. This is the first little break-in on this thing, so wasn't really expecting. That one says 1379. Let's see what else. 15. Okay, so we're running, we'll just say 1600 after 15 minutes. I might put a little more fuel to it and see what we can do. Might have a little bit of work to it, but hell, so far so good, right? At least we got it running. So I turned up the fuel just a tiny bit. Look at that. Now, granted, this is as close as I'm getting right now with the camera. You could get in there with tongs, but you certainly wouldn't want to kiss it. How cool of a little swirl is that? It's just almost exactly what I wanted. So I just turned the fuel up a tiny bit. Look at that, 1900, and that's in like 3 minutes. So I think she works. I almost forgot, for the safety police out there. You remember the 1 inch of kaolin, the 1 inch of ceramic that we put in there, right? Now it was 1900 degrees inside. There's an inch of kaolin and what, half an inch maybe of refractory. Now watch. Now that's probably 250 degrees. You're not going to leave their hand there long, but you see how efficient that stuff is, that I can even do that, you know, without going to the, yeah, my hands are dirty, go figure. But that I can do that without, you know, going to the emergency room. That's how efficient that stuff is. And that was just with 1 inch. The furnace, my little buddy over here, who has been known to reach like 4,000 degrees inside the chamber. I found that out the hard way. That was not a good day. But that guy has 2 inches of ceramic. Obviously, didn't have room to do that here. And yeah, you know, looking back, maybe in the future, if I want to build a little bit bigger forge, I'll use another gas bottle and cut it so I can get that 2 inches. We've obviously got a few leaks here and there, and it's not totally efficient, but you know what? We're getting up to temperature, and she works like a charm, burning off some of the crap on the outside. I kind of put a little, need to make a better gate for that to hold that heat and push that heat towards the front, basically, instead of blowing it out both sides. I don't want it to blow out both sides unless I have something really long to work with, but you know, hell, for a cobbled together, you know, redneck waste oil forge, I think we did all right there. How's that for dragon breath? You like that? All right, man. I hope you enjoyed the journey as much as I didn't, and I'm glad to be at this point. Take care. Yeah, go build you one. All right. In case you wondered, it's basically a hammer drill bit that died. I don't know if you can see that color or not. Yeah, she'll get up to temperature. She's doing all right. Thought you might want to see that. I think I don't know exactly what steel rotary hammer bits are made of, but you know, it's hard stuff, goes through concrete. I just happen to have a couple extra lying around like everything else, right? Okay, in about an hour and a half, got her heated up. First trial run, I did that to that's actually the first one I've ever done out of a rotary hammer bit. We'll see how that cleans up. And it was higher than that. God, you know, trying to find just the right spot. Anyway, over 2,000. Whew, that was warm. Let's not stand right in front of it again. There we go. Let me shut the fuel off so I can get maybe a picture inside the thing. Yeah, it's still over. It was like 2,400 degrees a while ago. Now, I know what you want to see. I have no idea what this is going to do when I do this. Yep, that's a fire. Woo! So yeah, that was, and actually that wasn't even turning the air up all the way, so thought you'd enjoy that. Probably not something you want to use in a garage, you know, obviously. This is something that pretty much needs to be done outside with its own shelter. It's not the safest little, well, oh hell, let's turn the air up all the way and do this one more time. I'm probably gonna have to hit it and then back off from it. Yeah, that's a fire. Yeah, I know you wanted to see that, you sickos. Alright guys, we'll call that one a success. I'm actually going to let it cool down and see what kind of mess we've got, if any. It looks like the refractory and everything held up pretty good. So yeah, color it a success. But one thing I will tell you, if you build one of these, after you shut the fuel off completely, okay, I see my air supply is, you know, redneck as it can be, right? But it's a dimmer switch hooked up to a leaf blower. Here, I'll even show you my, see, I'm a smart redneck. I done put some connectors on it, you know what I mean? There you go, I'll get right there. I didn't just put it on there with tape. I put some connectors on there. Oh, there's tape right there, so I guess I can't say that. Oh, and yes, the pipe is actually being held up by a modified portion of a crutch. So there you go, have a laugh. Anyway, what I was saying, if you build one of these, after you shut off the fuel, leave it alone and just let the air run for a while, because if you shut the air off, the heat will come back up the tube and you'll have a bad day. Other than that, man, I can't wait to do more on it, to be honest with you. I'd keep this thing running today, because it's used about a half a bucket of fuel, which is a couple of gallons in an hour and a half. And that was on the first run, so it'll get more efficient as I play with it. So not too bad. I'm happy with it. Alright guys, see you later. Have a good one.